Welcome, guys, to the first episode of Barry Charles' podcast. In today's video, we will be talking about cryptocurrencies and shares. Which one is better? Time will tell. Tonight on our show, we have Samuel. Samuel,
Yeah.
what's up, bro?
Yeah.
Thanks for coming along.
Yeah, no worries.
This is my very first episode, so you just have to go with the flow with my talking team out there. Okay, so crypto. So what is crypto?
I'd say crypto is probably the next currency, right? Virtual currency. That's what we're going to be pretty much dealing with everything in the future, you know?
Yep.
So it'd be all online and doing all your cryptocurrencies rather than having actual, your actual money and having credit cards and whatever.
Yep.
I think it'll all be through cryptocurrencies. Probably the future. Yeah, I think the main thing for cryptocurrencies is compared to shares. Shares is more of just an investment into a company, right? You're buying a piece of a company. Where with cryptocurrencies, it's more like you're buying an actual token or like, a currency that you can actually purchase things with or you can trade with in between different currencies. That's the cool thing with cryptocurrencies too, the fact that you can buy other cryptocurrencies with, certain cryptos.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
What so what do you see what's some cryptos you think that people should be looking out there to maybe possibly buy?
Well, Bitcoin is a pretty good steady one. It does make a lot of movement, but even if you buy at its lows, which sometimes it can drop up to 20k like it has recently, but even if it drops quite a bit, you're probably only looking at a gain of like 50%, or maybe doubling what you put in. If you bought bought at 25 and it jumps back up to 50 or 60, whatever it's at, then yeah, you get double what you've put in. But if you want big tokens or big money, you probably want to go for all the smaller cryptocurrencies. Or like Dogecoin was a good one, back when it had a lot of spikes and a lot of movement. Where now Dogecoin, of course, it just kind of sits at 25, 20, 3, 24. It's not really got much movement. There's not really much activity with it. I think it's sort of peaked already. Because it went all the way from whatever it was, 3 cents to, 78, 75 in the span of probably 6 months to a year.
Yep,
So,
and it's dropped all the way back down to 17 cents again.
yeah.
So you wouldn't want to be that person that was up at the high 70-cent range, brought then.
Yeah, and you've just
You'll be
lost.
you'll be very sad now. About 75% loss on your.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I think to look out for at the moment, one would be Shibu. It's had a lot of movement. Shiba Inu. It's had kind of like it was sort of like a steady increase for a while, but then as soon as it hit, what was it, 8?
Yep.
Maybe it dropped back down to about 5, and now it's all the way down to about 3.2. So, you could probably buy into Shiba Inu. I don't really know what caused its spike, but I think Elon did have a bit of a play into it. I remember seeing a tweet from him about posting his dog. He got a Shibu.
Yep.
Yeah. And that sort of obviously gave it a bit of publicity. And it sort of shot off from that point, I guess.
yeah. So what do you think about Elon Musk and his tweeting of different types of cryptocurrencies like Shiba and Dogecoin?
I think with the fan base he probably has quite a bit of influence, It's almost like when he puts out a tweet, he can either make quite a big of a difference, or it doesn't do anything at all. It really depends on people. But with Dogecoin, as you can see, he made a huge impact on that to start with, and then there was all these other events and things happening, and then it just completely shot off. And then he sort of abandoned it, he just sort of left it.
So for context for some people out there, they may not have seen this. Elon Musk went on Saturday Night Live to talk about Dogecoin, and that's when it hit its peak. People, everyone was thinking it was going to go to $1, but didn't quite reach $1. And then since then, it's really just gone off a cliff.
It just plummeted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what? With Elon Musk, do you think that it could be possibly sort of inside trading, like telling people you should buy Dogecoin now, and then in doing that, the price skyrockets, and then he sells out and makes some money? Do you think that's a possible?
Yeah, it's hard to say because he's already got so much money into all his shares and investments, and he's one of the richest people in the world. I don't know if he's the richest at the moment. I don't know. Is he?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's up there.
Yeah,
Probably
gonna be the first trillionaire. I would say it could have something to do with that. I mean, he has that much money. He could make, huge movements and, for example, Dogecoin, buying in
Yeah.
early years, telling all these people to invest and then just selling out.
Yeah. So on the other side, he also stopped Bitcoin being used to buy Tesla cars.
Tesla cars, yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah. So on the other side, did he do that so he could buy Bitcoin at a lower price? What do you think of that?
Yeah. Yeah, that could have been it because it did plummet after that. After he did announce that Tesla
Yeah.
wouldn't be taking it anymore, but I'm not too sure. He did say it was mainly because of fossil fuels being used to power the Bitcoin mining
Yep.
and all
Yep.
that.
Yep.
Yeah, so I presume he did probably do it for the right cause. I guess for all the natural protection of global warming and whatever. you know.
But the one thing with electric cars, obviously, is the what do you do with the batteries?
The lithium-ion
Yeah.
batteries, yeah. Well, you can't really dispose of them. Well, they are being disposed, but you can't reuse them, and they're being disposed of pretty badly. You can't really break them down or reuse them, and yeah, it's probably almost as bad as having a petrol car and
Yeah.
just running it, polluting the environment and all that. It probably has the same effect,
Yep.
So I'm not too sure. I guess it's sort of like. I know he's headed in the right direction, but once batteries get smaller and you can reuse the materials and get a bit
That
more
would be good.
advanced,
That would be
yeah,
good.
it'd be good.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing opposing electric cars.
Yeah.
But even though you can't recycle or reuse these batteries or anything, there's all these governments and countries that are pushing for electric cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. So not too sure really on my point on that. So
What about the future for Elon Musk? Obviously, SpaceX is one of them. You got any thoughts on SpaceX with?
Yeah. I mean, he seems to do a lot of development on SpaceX. I mean, isn't he staying there at the moment currently?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty out of it. He always puts up his tweets about all the new rockets being made and all their new flight team
Yep.
stuff like that, research, everything going through.
So, are we literally going to the moon soon?
Well, we've already been to the moon, but to
Allegedly.
live, yeah, yeah. Well, it depends what your thought on that is. But yeah, to live though.
Just kidding, the effects.
Well, I mean, he wants to go to Mars, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
They
I
got
don't know.
they got competition with Virgin Galactic. They're also trying to get there as well.
Yeah.
And the price to get up there is like over 250K. So how many people can actually afford to go up there?
Yeah, pretty crazy, eh? Pretty expensive. Well, that gets rid of all the rich people. Yeah. No, I'm not too sure on that really. I think SpaceX has to be one of his main priorities, I would say,
Yeah.
as opposed to Tesla. But of course, he has all these other companies that he's trying to run as well and everything. But yeah, Tesla and SpaceX, I'd say, is his main focus because that's the main things you always hear about from him, and that he's always talking about and having conferences about, and yeah. But yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see when we go to the Mars when he's finished.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they have all their life sources there or whatever, water, food, however that's all gonna work.
Yeah. No. Awesome. Now let's just go through a few of what's happening at the moment out there with the cryptocurrencies. So there's been a bit of a price drop of late.
As of recent, yeah.
With Bitcoin was not too long ago at 67,000, and now it's dropped down to 47,000. So is it a time to buy Bitcoin?
Yeah, probably. I don't know how much further it's going to drop because I don't really know what's really caused all these drops and that. Do you have any insight on that? Or not really sure.
Well, there's a lot of at the moment, especially in America, is the tax loss harvesting.
Oh,
I don't know if you know much about that. So this is when people sell off stocks or cryptocurrencies that have been doing badly, and they can use that tax to write off their profits on other stocks.
Oh,
that
I
one
see.
thing,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So that is one reason. But yeah, there's a lot of that going on. That's why a lot of even stocks have been crashing lately.
Yeah.
And obviously the pandemic out there as well is making people scared of their money, so they're getting out and making sure they got cash on hand just in case they need it.
True. Yeah, a lot of that going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin. I don't know. It seems to always drop by quite a large number. When it does actually drop, it
Yeah, yeah,
seems to have quite a low drop of 20, 30K or so.
yeah.
But I haven't seen it go lower than probably 26, 27. I don't think.
Yeah, not for a while, but
Yeah,
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 there's talk a big crash is going to come.
yeah,
But what, 2 years time, 3 years time,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
soon? I don't know. I d- but in my personal opinion, with Bitcoin, I think it's going to just keep going up and up and up.
Mm.
It's the next gold, really. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, that's true. Well, I'd say if you buy Bitcoin now, and what you say it was that around
47 roughly at the
47
moment.
roughly. I don't. You won't be at a loss. I mean, even if it does drop more, it's going to go back up to its normal 54, 55, and
Mm.
then might even go back to its peak again,
Yeah,
67, 66.
yeah,
So probably not a bad time to buy, but I
yeah,
don't see much profit. There's probably other coins you could go for,
yeah.
depending. Mm.
Okay, cool. So let's have a look at Ethereum now. This is the number 2 cryptocurrency, biggest currency in the world at the moment, and the price range here is more of a steady stock. A steady cryptocurrency. You- A good comparison in a way is probably Apple. That's pretty much steady going up, or Visa as well. Just a nice steady company that keeps putting out profits. With Ethereum, it sort of stays pretty stable, and then it'll jump up and then stay stable. It doesn't have as big a drop like Bitcoin does. So at the moment, it's around 4,000 Ethereum, and the highest were recently a 4.7, so it hasn't dropped as much as what Bitcoin has.
Yeah, yeah.
Any thoughts on Ethereum? Do you think
I think in the long run, especially if you've had experience investing in shares and stuff, and you prefer doing long-term investments or safe investments, I think Ethereum is probably better because it seems a lot more steadier.
yeah,
It doesn't fluctuate as much as Shiba Inu or Bitcoin or
yeah,
anything like that. So yeah, you probably buy into it. You really need to see, not necessarily wait for it to drop because it doesn't really drop often.
yep,
But just wait for it to get a little low, and you won't be making much profit. But over time, you could make a bit of profit, especially if it skyrockets. You never know.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it still has a lot of room to grow. So
Well, earlier in the year was under 2,000 Ethereum, so if some people got on then, they'll be laughing
that
a
would have
bit.
been the time to buy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But
Uh,
that's the same with like Shibu though. If you bought Shibu back when I think it was at 1 or something like that, then then when it shot up to 8, you'd be fucking 80% more,
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
800%. Yeah.
Yeah, and the lower coins are just, some of them have skyrocketed, you know. But if you're lucky to get in, you'll be a millionaire now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So, good segue into our next one, Shiba Inu. How do you see this? So at the start of the year, it was at about 5. Then it's jumped up to 88, as we talked about a bit earlier in the podcast, and now it's going back down to about 31. So it's really skyrocketed. This is exactly the same as what Dogecoin happened. A momentum stock, a momentum crypto, and then it's come back down to earth. But it's still, if you brought it down with 5, you're still 5-6x your stock with it being 31. So what do you think about Shiba Inu as a crypto?
I think if you bought it early, you're lucky. You're pretty lucky. So you would have shot up and made a huge profit. But as of right now, I think 3.2 is not a bad time to buy. And it's jump that it made from 5 to 8 was pretty good. But I don't know if 8's its peak. Like if it's planning to go any higher than that, you never really know. But as of at the moment, that's the highest it's gone. So you never really know. But if it does, it has potential to jump up higher, I'd say. Especially because a lot of people have gone from Doge to Shibu, or
Yeah,
a lot of people buying into Shibu because of Elon, etc.
yeah. I think for me personally, I think it's going to have a similar story to Dogecoin. It's been marketed up by the likes of Elon Musk, and there's actually the future potential. I don't know if the future potential was there.
Mm. Yeah, it could crash and burn.
So yeah, just depends on what your risk tolerance is. For me, I wouldn't touch Shiba Inu at this price. Um, thanks for that, Sam. Now let's get on to the last one on this list, Dogecoin. Um, obviously similar story to Shiba. Um, Samuel was one of the people that got in fairly early on and made a decent profit from here.
Yeah, real lucky.
Yeah. He probably could have made a bit more for profit, but
If I sold at the right time.
yeah.
But then I stuck with everyone else and held out, which wasn't ideal. But
where someone like me, I gave it a go as well, but I brought in
probably a little late.
yeah, a little late. But anyway, it's all about learning from mistakes, you could say. So how have you thought about Dogecoin? Because obviously you got a good experience around that.
Yeah, well, I invested in Dogecoin quite a while ago. It was more of I was just putting in a bit of money in per week, and I built up a slow investment into Dogecoin.
Yeah.
And then once I had some money into there, it's more of a just checking it, leaving it, more of a long-term investment originally. And I didn't expect it to go anywhere. I bought in at about 3.3 maybe. Then it went to about 4.3 or something, which was pretty good. But
Yeah.
it sort of sat around those numbers. And then I think the latest I bought in was at 6,
Yeah.
maybe. And after that, I just left it pretty much. And then
Nice.
yeah, and then Elon Musk, he's the one who got me to invest into it. Seeing his
Yeah.
tweets and that, because I did follow him on Instagram.
Yeah.
And as a lot of people did, or a lot of other people did, we all went in and invested. But as soon as I saw his tweet, I invested immediately, which is why I got in quite early.
Nice.
But after a few weeks after his tweet and a few other tweets he made, because he made multiple tweets on Dogecoin,
Yep.
But after that, it did seem to, steadily jump up to about 7, 8. It's going up,
Yep.
But yeah, it did flatline for a bit. Like after my first initial investments, it probably took about 4 months before it made any real movement. And after that, there was a few other things that happened, and pretty much it skyrocketed to about 11, 12, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is still more before I invested in it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. And when it skyrocketed to that, I was like, oh, double, triple my profits,
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice,
pretty happy with that. And, yeah, it just went crazy, It went all the way up to about 30, 40, and it sort of averaged out for a while. And then, it hit its massive peak of 78,
Yeah.
This was when it was getting all the publicity. Then there was all these, Dogecoin Millionaire and all these other people advertising and all over Twitter and YouTube,
Yeah.
And it seemed to be the thing, like the trend, Everyone was talking about it. You couldn't escape it if you're on social media or
Yeah, absolutely.
wherever.
That's how I got to know about it too, through the Elon Musk tweets and
Yeah.
And I thought I'll give it a go. No, I'd have to put too much money in just to see how it works out. And next minute, boom! Oh, it goes up what 3x for me. It was up 3x.
Yeah.
And what do? I'm believing it's going to keep going up to $1.
And held out.
And then pretty much after Saturday Night Live, it peaked, crashed.
Plummeted. Yeah, and didn't make a recovery.
No, it hasn't recovered.
Yeah, I was pretty much the same too. I was originally planning on selling at about 4.5,
Yeah,
4.8, but I wasn't too familiar with Binance's withdrawal systems and stuff like that, and how the addresses work and that. So I left it, and I thought, well, I might as well stick with it. And I sort of believed, I got with social media and Elon Musk tweets and all that, and Elon Musk, after the Saturday Night Live, he just stopped tweeting about it,
Yeah.
And as that happened, once it hit its peak, it just completely plummeted.
Yep.
And at its peak, my initial investment of $1,000 was at about 12,000 USD, which is pretty good. But then it completely plummeted all the way down to probably about 43. I still held out. I keep holding out. And then after about a month, it was stuck at 25, 28, 30. It didn't want to move. It wanted to stay around those figures.
Yeah.
And I ended up selling at 24, I think, which was actually pretty low. But I still I still sold with 4K
it's
USD.
nice,
So not bad. 3 times my initial, investment.
Yeah, well, it's 21 now, so
Yeah.
it's all good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's probably a good time to sell. Well, not a good time, but for holding out. I mean, if I had any longer, it wouldn't have ended well.
So a lesson for people at home with any investment is to take some profits, especially when it skyrocketed. When they skyrocket it, it's always good if you can even get your initial investment out, and sell that amount. You still have the investment in there, but you've already gained a profit. That would be my advice.
Yeah, that's a good
And
point,
then if it keeps skyrocketing, you still got heaps in there. Let's look at the Dogecoin Millionaire. Okay, now he has a similar story to old Samuel here. Obviously, he had a lot more money in it than any of us did. But how do you feel about Dogecoin Millionaire? Because he pretty much got real famous overnight.
Yeah, well, I only found out about him probably sort of around when Dogecoin peaked,
Yeah.
maybe. I guess that's when he started his marketing campaign as the Dogecoin Millionaire. Obviously, he probably wasn't the first Dogecoin millionaire. There's probably heaps of them.
Yeah.
But,
Absolutely,
obviously people aren't going to go advertising around that they've made all this money, He just wanted publicity, I'm guessing.
yeah.
And he made a bit of a following.
Yeah, well, it was an average Joe for the people out there, and he lived in a small space, like a little 1 bedroom place. Yeah, and for a little bit of clarity, at the peaks, he was at about 3.1 million, and then all of a sudden he dropped down to under a million. So he lost 2.1 million in the space of, I don't know how long it was, about 6 months or so. Just a question for you, Samuel. If you're in his situation, I know it's hard to know what you would actually do, but when you see your portfolio go to a million for a start, and then next minute jump all the way up to 3.2 million, when do you sell out, or depends on your conviction, I guess, on the crypto. Yeah.
I think, me personally, I probably, if I hit, it depends how much of an investment you made. So,
Yeah.
but if I put in a couple 100,000 and it hit a million, I would probably sell at a million to be safe, But I wouldn't sell everything. I'd probably sell, like you said, your initial investments,
Yeah.
and then just leave in your profits. And that's probably the way to go. And then from that point, it's sort of like, okay, I've made back, what I put in. And then from whatever happens with this, it doesn't really matter,
Yeah.
So, pretty much, I would have let it sit. And if it did go to, 3.2 million, or even in the couple millions, I would have gone and just sold out, probably. I wouldn't have stayed, If you have such a large investment like that, and you're not used to dealing with money that large, I would have sold,
Yeah.
There's no point in holding out. I mean, sure, you can hold out, you might get more money, but this is a lot of money you're talking about, and you've made it within a span of a few months. So, I think in his situation, he's made the wrong move, and obviously he can't do anything about it now.
No.
And he's probably still holding out now, because if he sold now, he'd probably, feel almost embarrassed,
Yeah.
Advertising that he's this millionaire and everything,
Yeah.
and now he's not a millionaire anymore.
Yeah.
So,
So I assume he would have invested more into it now, which would have put his cost price up. Is that a wise move, you reckon, with Dogecoin? Or
well, there's not much movement with it. I can't see it plummeting any more than it has. It's probably not a bad idea to invest into it, but the thing is, you're not really looking for profit if you're investing into it,
Yeah.
One day it could hit 40 or something. I predict in probably 2 years, if it's still going and crypto's, still lively as ever,
Yeah.
it should probably hit around 40 and maybe sit there. So even if you invest now, you'll be at almost double your profit.
Yeah.
So I think it's not a bad idea in the long run, which obviously must be his plan if he didn't sell out to begin with. He's waiting for the $1 mark, or, But $1 mark is probably unrealistic. But considering how big Dogecoin is, you can't really just throw it away now. But the only problem or reason why people don't stick with Dogecoin is because of the fact you can't really buy much with it, and it's more for smaller transactions, So, to be honest, I probably wouldn't go back to Dogecoin.
Do you know much about how much the total market cap on cryptocurrencies is?
I don't have a rough idea. No.
Okay, so for the
If you
people
have
out
some
there,
insight.
so some people out there at home that might not know much about how much money we're talking about here. So the whole cryptocurrency space, $2.3 trillion is the total cryptocurrency
Wow, that's
worth.
crazy.
Okay, to give you some context though, even with all that money, Apple is worth more at 2.8 trillion. So that shows you that it's only a real small dip in the ocean compared to all the share market out there at this stage, but there is a lot of room to grow. And if we go back to 2013, there's less than 100 cryptos currencies you could buy, and now you're looking. There's a big wide range of how many there is now, but between 10 to 15,000 different coins you can buy now in the crypto space.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, it really depends because if you look at it this way, cryptocurrencies have only been around for what 15 years, maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
Bitcoin was one of the first, basically.
Since pretty much 2011 sort of
Yeah.
thing, where shares have been around for a really real good long time. I mean,
Yeah.
shares were around because you could purchase your shares or investments through the bank. Where you can't do that with a cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is purely a virtual currency, so you're dealing with money online.
Yep.
You can't without the internet. You couldn't use cryptocurrencies. So I think it probably will keep growing, especially as of recent, where a lot of people have started investing into crypto. I see there's advertisements everywhere pushing crypto. So I think obviously shares in the long run or long term is much better. I know shares can still crash and be volatile, and you can be, a day trader. But I think
Yeah.
crypto's more of a short-term plan, maybe, depending on what coin you go for.
Yeah.
But generally, certain coins, you're looking for money quick if you're going into crypto. Either that, or you're looking to put a lot of money into a coin which you can actually buy things with later. Because you think about it, if you want to go buy a Tesla, right?
Yeah.
Say it only costs 50,000 maybe for a cheap low-end Tesla, or depending USD, I'm not too sure exactly.
Yeah.
But say you have $50,000, right? And you want to go buy a Tesla. If instead of buying a Tesla, you go and put this into Bitcoin or any other larger coin, right? Like Ethereum, Bitcoin, then your initial 50,000 that you were just planning on buying a Tesla with, and you just leave it in there, and a few months later, if it shoots up, maybe 20% or something, then you can just pull it out, and you've already made a profit, Or you can leave it in there, and if Tesla was still taking Bitcoin and all that, I'm not too sure if they're going back to it now, if they have, or not sure. But you could just buy it with that money, You just think about it, you've just made free money from just, storing money somewhere else other than the bank. So, yeah, that's a rough idea, I guess, of it.
Yeah, while we're still on crypto, and this comes into shares as well. The big movement, and especially in the youth side of things, is momentum trading. Not just the youth, but there's for the people out there. There's Reddit Wall Street Bets, a company that a blog place where they talk about what's the next stock that they should try and save, and there was some shares of AMC, so a theatre company, movie cinema company, and also GameStop, which a lot of people out there would have heard about that skyrocketing. A company that was just about going bust, and next month their stock goes up to like $300. Amazing how with momentum trading, also in crypto, which you could see with Dogecoin and Shiba Inu. Do you see cryptocurrency as a way of making money, as you said before, short term? Is that the best way to maybe make money on crypto, or do you think maybe Ethereum and Bitcoin are the more safer options and they should be the way to go?
A lot of take in there.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have good initiative, especially with the whole GameStop thing. That was a pretty big thing, But yeah, I think short term would be my goal, I would say, especially because what you're looking to do is put a lot of money into what you think has potential, a lot of coins that you think have potential, and waiting for them to skyrocket. So it could be a waiting game in a sense, but as soon as it shoots up, you're looking to sell, because generally, unless you're going into Bitcoin or Ethereum, it's usually only the main cryptos, or the ones that people know the names of, the big reputable ones, Those are the ones that you can buy things with, where the smaller cryptos you can't buy anything with, There's not really much point to them, but it's a good way to make money, so in the short term. But long term, obviously you can go into Ethereum, Bitcoin. I mean, all these people that bought back in 2011, 2013, these are the people that are rich now. They did the long term, So it goes to show, you can put money into any crypto now, and in 10 years or so, most likely it's going to shoot up, So
or it goes to zero.
Oh yeah, or it goes bust. Yeah,
There's
but
some
I
that
haven't
goes
seen a
zero
crypto
too.
go bust yet. So I'm very interested about if they could.
Yeah.
You know, I see they can drop or plummet, but they never seem to just die out.
Yeah.
Because it's still currency. You know, it's still actual money you're dealing with.
Yeah.
So. Mm.
Yeah, so just on a stock to give you a comparison of what can happen to your money, there's a stock called Tilray. They went all the way up to $300 and dropped down to $10 or even less.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And has never recovered. And there's a lot of stocks and cryptocurrencies that are in the same field. And there would have been people that were buying at the top in the hype, and next minute losing a lot of money.
That would have been a big loss of investment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It really depends on what you invest in.
Yeah.
I think the difference between Shiba Inu and Dogecoin is the market cap, right?
Yeah.
Dogecoin doesn't have a market cap, which sort of really puts it at
you're talking about the coin.
Yeah,
like
the coin.
Market cap on the coin, not the actual.
On the coin itself. Yeah. You know, there's no cap whatsoever. Where you see all the coins that do have a cap seem to perform pretty well.
Yeah, so like Bitcoin here, you can only buy 21 million Bitcoin. It's not quite hit that mark yet, but that's where once it gets to 21 million Bitcoins available to buy,
I think
that'll
last
be
I
it.
checked, it was about 19 million at the moment currently. Yeah, same with Ethereum that has a cap as well.
Yeah.
But Shiba Inu also has a cap, which is why I wonder if it's actually going to do the same thing Dogecoin did.
Yep.
But it doesn't have a market cap. Dogecoin didn't have a market cap, which is probably why it failed out as well as the fact that you can only buy smaller things with it. Where with Shiba Inu, it has a market cap, so there's only a limited amount of them you can get, and it's got quite a high value. There's a lot of coins, a lot of money in circulation already. So I don't know what number it is at the moment ranking in cryptos. Do you know? Or
Well, it did get
I think I saw it in 7th place.
Yeah, it skyrocketed past Dogecoin. So
it must be in the top 10 at least.
Yeah.
As of current. Yeah. So it's definitely something to look out for.
Yeah.
Keep an eye on,
Yeah, so for all our new investors out there that are looking to get into crypto, with especially these ones like Shiba Inu and Dogecoin, and there's countless others, SafeMoon, Cardano, Ripple. There's so many you can look at. Just a few things on taking profits. You have to watch out for the tax man, because the tax man will come after you, and that's more importantly in shares, but also in crypto, it's starting to get more like that. Any profits you take out there. So it's not just a matter of, oh yes, I'll buy Bitcoin at say 47,000 now, and it goes up to 60,000, and you take a 13,000 profit on each coin you have. You have to pay a percentage of that profit back to the bank. So you can't just invest it all back into another into another cryptocurrency, and just not pay the tax man, because they'll come and get you eventually. So that's just something you have to be careful of. You have to have money available, because otherwise, if the tax man comes to get you, you have to sell your other crypto just to pay it off. So it's just something to think about when you...
Yeah, that's true. You do have to consider tax, especially with shares. It's quite a well-known thing that you do have to pay the tax. And you're dealing with a lot more money in shares usually.
Yep.
But yeah, with crypto, it's hard to say. A lot of people probably don't pay tax, but they're not dealing with large amounts, so it's probably not too much concern as of now. But if you're dealing with large amounts, large withdrawals, you're going to have to pay tax. Yeah. Depending on what country you are too, it's probably completely different for each country. So it's hard to talk about.
So let's the last thing we'll talk about for the moment around crypto is we're gonna have a little fun here. We're gonna look at a portfolio. If we had $1 million right now, what would we be doing with our money if we were gonna invest it all into crypto? So we'll let Samuel go first, and then I have my opinion on what I think I would do with it after.
$1 million, eh?
Yep, $1 million.
If I had $1 million,
and you're thinking maybe like a 10-year horizon where you think what's going to make you money.
Well, if I was long-term investing at $1 million, it would have to be Bitcoin. I'd say. I know there's not much profit in Bitcoin compared to all these other coins, especially because certain smaller coins can, they can go 300% more than
Yeah.
their original value. It's crazy. But with Bitcoin, you're only looking to double your initial investment probably. But or depending on, it could peak a lot higher in the future
Yeah.
if we're talking long term. But I'd probably put the million straight into there, mainly because you can buy things with Bitcoin.
Yep.
So instead of having to withdraw it, you can buy things direct from there. So in America especially, there's a lot more things you can buy with Bitcoin and stuff like that. I know you can't really purchase Teslas anymore, but there are a lot of other things you can still purchase with Bitcoin. Yeah.
So 1 million into Bitcoin, is that what you're saying?
That's probably what I'd
Nothing
do.
else? Nothing
that's
else?
a safe way to go. Yeah.
Safe, okay.
If you're talking long term,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah. Well, for me, I'd take a bit more of a Bitcoin. Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'd probably put 45% in each one, and always waiting for a dip. And then the other 10% I would put into all the small random coins. None of them that have hit a peak or anything. They've just been sitting low for ages, and hope one of them goes skyrockets.
That'd probably be the way to go.
I think that's your option. For those ones out there that are real high risk, you could go 100% that way if you want. And just give it a go and see which one skyrockets to the moon for you. But but on a more cautious side, I'll definitely Bitcoin and Ethereum are the safe options, and just about I wouldn't touch Dogecoin or Shiba Inu now. They've already hit their peak.
Tried out.
They possibly can go higher, but they will need a better story to keep going up, I believe, because Ethereum and Bitcoin are pretty much the two ones that everyone generally likes. The other ones have been just short-term gains, but they're not holding Shiba Inu or Dogecoin. Most people, they've just taken their profits and run. Where Ethereum and Bitcoin, they've tried to there's more people holding, that's why they keep rising more than the others. So that's our take on cryptocurrencies. Now we're going to move on to shares. So firstly, is there any companies out there that you think are maybe worth considering long-term plays?
Long term.
Yeah.
Well, it'd probably just be the main ones, right? That seem to never drop, or if they do have a drop, they always seem to recover.
Yeah.
So
let's go. What about Amazon?
Amazon, yeah. Well, Amazon's probably always going to be around, or if you're talking about a 10-year plan.
Yeah.
So probably Amazon. Tesla, of course, is very expensive to buy into.
Not as much as Amazon.
Yeah, that's
over 3,000 here, folks.
Yeah,
Amazon.
yeah.
Tesla's 1,000, so there you go.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they're both real expensive to buy into. Of course, you can buy a percentage, but do you want to buy a percentage of a share? That's the thing. Where it's probably better
if that's all you can afford.
Yeah,
you just got to think of how much is that going to go up, that share. Even if you buy 50%, like if you think it's going to go up 100%, it's better off buying than buying into another stock with the same amount that only goes up 20%.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
You got to. What about Apple?
Yeah, well, from what you've told me, Apple seems to be on a bit of a rise over the years. Yeah, probably in the long term, because of Apple's releases. I mean, their Apple iPhones have done so well,
Yeah.
and they're working on Apple electric cars and all sorts, I mean, the future of Apple is not going to die.
Yeah.
I think it's going to keep going. It has to.
Yeah, full disclosure here, Apple is one of my, it's my biggest portfolio in the stock. I got very high conviction in Apple, but just something to think about. What I don't like about Apple, for instance, is it's good as for me as an investor, but they only just slightly improve their phones each time, which to me I find that very annoying, because the technology is there to have an even greater phone already. But obviously, to keep the profit machine going, they're not just going to go straight to the flashes camera and audio in there straight away.
That's true. That is true. Yeah. I don't know. I think it is more of a have to keep themselves busy almost. You know, you
Yep.
can't go many years without putting a phone out because they're sitting here trying to put all this technology that they have, the most advanced stuff they have, into a phone. And imagine how expensive it would be. I mean, the iPhone's already expensive as they are. I think the way they're doing it, they're probably just trying to get money out of it, really. You know.
So, what do you think about Apple and the EV space, electric vehicles?
Well, they haven't really mentioned much about it, right?
No, there's a little bit going on. They've got a deal going with one of the manufacturers to do EVs.
Yeah.
Before it's going to be their original plan, but it sort of died out a bit.
Oh, right.
It's just it's just whether or not they want to put the investment in, like Tesla have, to really get going.
Really get going. Yeah, they have the money. The money's there. So, it really depends, eh? Because going from iPhones and computers and that sort of stuff to vehicles, it's quite a big jump. You know, like you'll have to consider, are they going to be safe to drive around? Are they going to work well? Are they going to have good of a performance as Tesla? Tesla's out here making their cars go 0 to 60 in a few seconds. You know, they're trying to keep the cars in good performance, make them look good, make sure they run well. But you never know with these Apple. We haven't really seen any. I haven't seen any designs or mock-ups or any rough ideas of what they're going to look like. You presume it's going to look like I don't know, like maybe a white MacBook almost.
In
the shape of a car.
No, it's the shape of Apple. A real small car, but
yeah. Well, actually, adding on to that with the electric cars for Apple, I wonder, since Tesla's not necessarily trademarked it, but it's sort of their main thing. At the moment, Tesla seem to have all their main base of electric cars being that they're autopiloting. They'll drive themselves, and they have all these safety features and precautions. And all these sensors. I'm wondering if Apple plans to implement the same technology into their cars, or if they're just planning on going an electric car. Yeah, I wonder how that would work. I'm not too sure, but that is one thing to think about when you're talking about brand new electric cars coming out.
Yeah, well, the problem for Apple and a lot of bigger companies, they don't actually own the chips and the stuff in the battery, so they're outsourcing that.
That is true. I mean, Samsung provides a majority of Apple's batteries and screens, and which is why it's sort of contradicting when they have these whole Apple versus Samsung wars, and the rough idea of Android versus an iPhone. You can't really say what's better or not, because they probably work just as well as each other. It just really depends on what phone you get. If you get the latest phone from either one, they're going to be almost identical. So it really depends on personal preference, I guess. Samsung seem to be almost copying Apple, I guess, with the multiple cameras. I feel like Apple started that. I'm not too sure though. Obviously, it could have been in the making for years, or the plan. So you never know.
It sounds like we're criticizing Apple quite a bit here, but the only question I have for Apple, for the people that are investing in Apple or looking to invest into Apple, is, are smartphones going to be around in 20 years' time? Because there's a lot of virtual reality stuff happening in the old meta space, that old Facebook. Well, you got any idea on what you think of?
Any insight?
Yeah.
Are
we going to have avatars everywhere?
I think.
Are we going to live out of our screen?
From what I've heard Elon talk about, and a lot of enthusiasts around technology as of recent, a lot of people want to implement either glasses that project an image onto them, or to get to the point in the future where we have contact lenses where things are projected in front of us. So,
what do you think we're going to eventually be computer chipped from when we're born? Are we going to go that extreme?
Yeah, well, maybe. You never know. They can control our population.
Is it already happening now in some countries,
Yeah, no, I do think, though, that we're going to be heading on to a lot of... it's not necessarily virtual reality, or it is similar, but there is a different term for it. But it's like they're just overlaying what we can normally see over our, average real lives. And you have all these holograms and, projectors and everything all laid out in front of you, all through glasses. But they do want to get to the stage they've said to where it's contact lenses. So obviously it won't look bulky, it won't be noticeable, but you'd have to get the batteries to be so small and efficient. It'd be crazy technology.
Yeah.
It's probably years away. So
Do you think that the like the virtual concerts that are already sort of have been created at the moment, um, do you think you would be interested in going back to like some old concerts, like maybe Freddie Mercury or Michael Jackson or any of the old great people that aren't with us anymore? Would you like to see that, like going back?
yeah, I think. Well, I didn't get the chance to, but
Yeah,
I think it'd be a completely different vibe. Different environment. You can't get that from virtual.
yeah,
You can't get that sort of the sound and just seeing everything in person. When you're actually there at the
yeah.
concert, you have millions of people, thousands of people, sitting there cheering on and rocking
Yeah,
out the music.
you got a good point there. Are they going to actually get the feel of like, when you like try to bump into people trying to get around, all that sort of, you know what I mean?
You're
Like
not
when
gonna
like,
you're not gonna capture
yeah,
any of that.
yeah, like, how are they going to try and create that?
Yeah,
Because I understand like they're trying to go back to like these old like Woodstock, all the old great party place shows they used to have back in the day. Yeah, just interesting to see how that space is going to go.
yeah. I'm not too sure with that. I've seen some technology, especially with gaming, where they use stimulants. So they use a little electrical shocks that'll stimulate certain muscles on your body. So you put patches on you and stuff like
Yeah,
that, and you can actually feel things going on. So say in a video game, for example, if you're being shot or something
yeah,
or injured, you'd feel a little shock in your arm.
yeah,
Sort of like to stimulate your muscles and sort of create that environment for you.
yeah,
I think for music, it could be the same thing. I've seen certain technology where it's almost like the bass from the audio is implemented into your skin. You have all these patches and things. You can feel the vibrations through your skins and stuff. But obviously, nothing's going to beat the real thing.
yeah.
So it's hard to say.
So what about on the voice side? Like if you want to like chat to people while you're walking around, you think they're gonna have the um automated like robotics part of that integrated into the system?
Yeah, no, I'm not sure. I do wonder about that. Yeah. Uh, it really depends. Like you don't really know the path that they're trying to take.
Yeah,
So I don't know. Not really much to say on that.
yeah. Okay, so as we're talking about shares at the moment, what what I interesting with shares what are, is you got all these businesses out here that are trying to make money, but with shares compared to cryptocurrencies, there's a mixture of shares that companies that are making a lot of money and are profitable, and then you got other companies that are trying to grow and are not profitable at the moment. And we've been talking about Tesla, and they were one company that weren't profitable, and now they are. But then you got another company in the same space, Neo, but they're millions in debt. So, and then and their prices has dropped recently. Would it be worth investing in ones like Neo and other Chinese manufacturing?
I think there probably is definitely a lot of potential. I mean, debt doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. I mean, you look at Netflix. Netflix was in huge debt. I'm not too sure about their debt situation now,
Yeah,
but they have all these Netflix originals, and they're out here producing all these things.
yeah,
They have so many hits, a lot of people watching.
yeah,
And I know there was a whole thing when Disney Plus came out. People, were worried about Netflix and worried about
yeah,
what would happen to all these new streaming services that are
yeah,
coming out. Are they going to take over?
yeah,
But to be fair, a lot of people have a multi-choice.
yeah,
You can pick and choose.
yeah,
So I don't think it's affected it too much. If anything, Netflix is probably doing better than ever at the moment. So it goes to show you shouldn't be afraid to invest into something that has a lot of debt, as long
So
as there's a lot of potential.
yeah.
Yeah.
So a bit of a side note to that. With Netflix. Did you know that Blockbuster tried to buy out Netflix
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, it hadn't
back in the
heard.
day? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, a while back.
No, years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. This is like early 2000s, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Blockbuster at its highest, the video rental company for the people out there that haven't heard about it, because they went bankrupt soon after. They thought the future was in video.
A lot of people did.
Yeah,
Yeah,
obviously, and
that took a turn for the worst. Wasn't around for long.
and also Netflix started off the same way. They were a DVD rental company, so they were just sending stuff to your home originally. So there wasn't even a subscription base, and then they decided to go down that path, and Blockbuster, well, basically offered by the Netflix owners to buy them, and the Blockbuster CEO at the time laughed it off, thought it was a joke.
Really?
Yeah.
And now look at them.
Yeah, and now he's they're gonzo. So that's what happens with some companies. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think with Netflix, they've definitely gone the right path. With the whole streaming service, and that's sort of the major, I guess you could say, streaming service that was around.
Yeah.
Well, for me personally, when they were booming was sort of like around 2011, 2012.
Yeah.
That's when their streaming service was sort of around, or was taking off and that sort of stuff. I'm not too sure about beforehand or leading up to that what they were really doing, but they did take a right turn. So.
Yeah. So I like this topic about the subscription service. So you got a plethora of people, companies you can choose from to watch TV from. You obviously got Netflix, Disney Plus, Apple TV, Amazon. Can they all survive? Like
Coexist.
like
well, I think as the population goes on, and as all these other countries are being opened up to all these streaming services and the internet, of course, the internet's a big thing. Without that, you can't obviously have anything. But yeah, I think they can all stick together, because at the moment, as of current, they all seem to do pretty well. You don't hear about any of them taking over or doing worse or better than the other. They all sort of just sit around. You can just pick and choose, like I was saying. So I'm not really too sure.
Yeah. So Netflix has the biggest
Following.
market share of of all these companies, but they don't have much else going for them. So my only worry for Netflix is because the cost of creating content's going to keep going up and up and up. Is their current subscription going to keep them afloat?
Yeah, can they get out of it? Can they get out of debt?
Where like a company like Disney and Amazon, for example, have a lot more other streams of revenue coming in from different sources that
is true.
can help promote. And I had an idea that Disney was going to actually maybe end up number one at one point, but
Disney Plus.
But they're as a company they're actually in a loss at the moment, so they're struggling a bit with all what's happening around the world. So I'm not sure.
I think for Disney Plus, or for Disney,
Yeah.
I think their streaming service was a big thing. I think when they announced it or were planning it,
Yeah.
I think they thought it was going to be the next big thing. Everyone's going to go over, because Disney, they have all the copyrights to a lot of movies.
Yeah.
All the Marvel and everything.
Yep.
But the thing is, in the end, I think it turned out to be more of almost a child's streaming platform. For children to watch all these programs and stuff. A lot more people use Disney Plus for their children, or for a younger audience.
Yep.
Where they do have a lot of cartoons and animations, because of course Disney's surrounded around animations. But I think in the end, a lot of adults or mature audience watch Netflix, because that's where everything seems to be. I'm not too sure about Netflix's financial situation at the moment, or arrangement of it.
Yep.
But it does seem to be doing pretty good.
They
where, like, of course Disney make all their own movies and all this sort of stuff, but Netflix, they're doing a pretty good job with all these Netflix originals. They seem to be constantly getting all these famous people in and getting all this good content out. And I think with lockdown and COVID, it's been a perfect time or opportunity for these companies, in a sense. Where with Disney, their other streams of revenue probably suffering, or were suffering, because of the pandemic.
Yep.
Where Netflix obviously didn't really face that.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think they can all coexist perfectly fine. Pretty much, to wrap it up.
Yeah. So yeah, if I'm looking to invest into a newer company now. Um, I want to get your intake on this. What do you see the future? We've talked about a few stocks that might come into this at the moment, but where do you see the future? Where's the money going to be made in the for companies around the world? Like, what's the next big thing?
Next big thing, eh? Yeah. Well, from what I see happening a lot for a lot of the bigger companies, of course, they're all going to all technology mainly, right? I think advancement in technology is sort of a major thing.
Yeah.
Like for example, with well, of course, with Apple and the electric cars they're going for such a big project, compared to the normal iPhones that they stick with.
Yep.
I mean, I'd understand if, like, say, Mercedes or someone else went to electric cars, which they have,
Yeah.
But when you have a car or a company that doesn't deal with, automotive vehicles, automobiles,
Yep.
and they just completely go into a completely different field, something out of their reach almost. It does seem pretty crazy. And of course, with Google, how they've been investing into their flying cars and all this other stuff,
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. And Elon Musk too, with all his, he does have another company, where he's dealing with like sort of like dealing with your mind almost,
Yeah.
with all the electronics around that, and all virtual stuff, and pretty high tech stuff. I think technology is the advancement at the moment, which a lot of companies are trying to get into.
Yep.
It's probably the way to go, because of course, if you invent something, then you're in it to win, pretty much.
Yeah, so there's a lot of data analysis
Yeah,
going along
yeah,
with companies that are trying to get into that space as well. But we also, well, we obviously talked about Facebook earlier. I think that is where we're heading. A lot of people might not like that, but I think we're getting a little bit less social. And
that is true.
and
Yeah.
not necessarily just because of the pandemic. But I think that's with the invention of technology, like the sort of the customer service has sort of dropped
I
down.
think it's more convenience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite convenient being on social media, and yeah, it can put you at a distance to certain people, but at the same time, it keeps you in contact with people that you might not be able to see because of distance. Say
Yeah,
they
it's
could be
definitely good.
they're completely different country, and you
Yeah.
can talk with them, but it does come to the point where you could be talking to someone who lives very close to you, or lives even with you, just on social media or on your phone all
Yeah.
day, and you don't even go and talk to them in person. I think it's more about convenience. The whole idea of social media and contacting people, through the internet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it sort of really depends on you personally. I mean, a lot of people make arrangements through social media to meet up and stuff like that. Where
Yeah.
sometimes, unless you saw each other every now and then, you're not going to have the opportunities to do that.
Yeah.
But I think mainly with schools at the moment, because of the pandemic, etc., or even not with the pandemic, just with certain places, a lot of it's gone online. So it's you're sort of lacking in that social potential to meet other people or interact with people,
Yeah.
And social functions, that's quite important to know how to socially interact with people,
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do that, the basics, then it can be very awkward to go and do anything, any activities
Yeah.
outside of the home, outside of your
Yeah.
computer screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty much all I have to add to that.
Okay, now we're going to do the same as what we did with crypto. We're going to have a look at a share portfolio. What stocks that we would probably look to invest in from from what we see as maybe the future, and what will I'll go first this time, just to give Samuel time to have a little think about that. $1 million, a lot of money
That is a lot of money. Yes.
to put in. To me, it's probably going to be a similar stake to the cryptocurrencies. You got to find some solid stocks that you think, yep, they're gonna just continuously grow, and then buy a few riskier stocks and hope for the best. So what I'd be looking at currently, Apple is definitely up on the list. Visa, Amazon would be up there as well. Facebook. It's all about perspective on how much money you want to put into each one to. But they'll be ones I'll definitely be looking at. And then if I was looking for riskier plays, Neo would be one. I think only worry I have for Neo is that there is a lot of space, and I mean a lot of competition in that space in China, and a couple of the other companies have actually gone past them in terms of sales at the moment. Even though they're the biggest company at the moment, their sale of cars has actually dropped a little bit recently. So that is a worrying trend for Neo, and whether they can get themselves ramped up, especially when you got Tesla as well in China with their Shanghai um, Gigafactory. So Neo would be one I'd be looking at, and then there's so many other little small ones that you can look into and take a risk on. And but yeah, that would be the ones that I would be looking at the moment anyway. What would be some of your thoughts?
Probably the main reputable brands. I don't know too much about shares and the major companies in the US. But I probably wouldn't want to take the risk with shares because if I was looking to invest into shares, I'd probably be long term.
Yeah.
Generally, because crypto's in my my point of view is probably more short term.
Yeah.
But if you're wanting to make money over time, I'd say I would probably want to invest into. You'd want to say Tesla because I feel that Tesla's mainly because of its link to Elon is going to have a lot of advancements in technology. I mean, it's like Elon has all these companies he's dipped into, and Tesla's of course one of the main ones.
Yeah.
Where I feel like it's going to be in leading the field pretty much, in sort of EV cars and auto driving cars and all that. I think he's made the first leap, and of course he believes in protecting the environment and stopping global warming from happening and stuff like that. So I think in a sense, it's probably a good idea to invest in something like Tesla, especially because it seems to make quite a bit of money. But of course, it's quite dear to buy into in the first place. Yeah. Where Amazon's probably slightly out of my range. But if you had $1 million, I mean, you can do anything. I would probably buy like 40% into Tesla, I would say.
Yeah.
Then I would work with 20% into Amazon because of how much value is in Amazon. You know?
Yep.
I mean, Amazon is doing pretty good from what I can see.
Yeah.
So,
only problem you have with Amazon is that their revenue to net profit is quite low. So they do a high volume, but they're only getting like 10% gain on all that.
Yeah.
That's the only problem with Amazon. It's they don't make much off the bottom line.
Yeah, that is true. So,
but they obviously have a lot going on, so they're making a lot of money.
Yeah. So profit-wise, there are other opportunities or other companies out there that'll probably serve you better. Apple, I'd probably put the rest into Apple, maybe. If I've got 20% into Amazon, 40% into Tesla, I'd probably put the last 40% into Apple, I would say. Just the main companies.
Yeah, for people out there with shares, Apple's at about 170 at the moment, but its real value is a lot higher. But what they do quite often in every couple of years is they do what they call a share buyback. So they'll say if Apple gets up to like about $500, they might split the they'll split the stock. They'll split the stock to they'll split the stock by 3. So which will mean that every share you have, you'll get 3. You'll get 3 back, but you'll still have the same value in the company. So you haven't really gained any monetary value. You've added more shares, but that's just something you got to think about there. Yeah, when you come to investing, because so there's also shares outstanding as well. So this is what I was talking about, share buybacks before. If you buy, if the company reinvests into their own stock and takes some of it off the market, you own more percentage of the company, and that's something I like with shares. If you can find companies that are doing that, because there's other companies going the total opposite way and diluting you. So if you own like say 2% of the company and then they sell more shares out to the open market, and then you're only 1.5%. Yeah, that's only danger when you have with shares as well. Well, not the only danger, but that's one thing you have with shares
as well, right? That'd be another main factor.
Yeah, dividends is
long term wise.
generally most companies that have a dividend are companies that are well matured and maybe not been so profitable as they might have been in the past. They might have say we're making like 40% profit every year, and then they've dropped down to more consistent like 10-15% a year now. So dividends is good. Like it's better than being in the term deposit at the bank and stuff. But a dividend can disappear too. A company at any time can say we're not going to pay a dividend, and that's what happened to a lot of companies when the pandemic happened, like Disney and Carnival Cruise Lines, and a whole lot of them have cut their dividend, and it's never come back so far for some of them. So if you've got a strategy in dividend investing, that's something you have to look at. And there is a wide range of what you can make. You can make 1% all the way up to 10% in some companies.
It's definitely a main factor, eh? You don't want to go into a company just for dividends, because if they cancel that out...
Yeah, because that's a trap that a lot of people get into with dividend investing. The stocks that are like 5 to 10% dividend, so they're paying like 5. If it's 5%, they're paying 5% of their profits out to the shareholders, and they might not be sustainable depending on what the payout ratio is.
Well, the higher the dividends ratio, or percentage, is probably more likely they're going to get rid of it.
Yeah. Well, the good example of some stocks that they Shell at one point were paying over 100% payout ratio on what they were earning.
That's crazy.
Yeah. They recently dropped that, but because they dropped their dividend, a lot of people sold out. So it's a bit of a two-edged sword. But you gotta be able to afford to pay the dividend, otherwise, what's the point of being in business?
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Oh yes. We've got one more thing we've got to talk about here. There's a little bit of a disconnect between me and Samuel here. He thinks more possibly that the future, even though he said before, short term for crypto, but I really secretly think he likes the long term. And where for me, I'm still working on the crypto side, but I definitely see shares as the future for me now. Well, probably because I understand it more.
The reason I think cryptos is probably the future, and my argument would be, as a younger person, as I guess I'd speak for a lot of younger people. A lot of
You're calling me old here, eh? Yeah.
A lot of younger people see crypto as being an easy investment,
Yeah.
It's easy, they don't have to pay tax, they don't have to do all sorts, in their minds, They just put a bit of money in, make some money. That's how it seems to be. Where they haven't really had the opportunity to invest into stocks. Same with me, I haven't invested into stocks, which is why it's very one-sided, where you've had a dip in both, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You may not have had as much experience in crypto, but, you're leaning towards that way to at least know more about it.
Yeah.
Where with younger people, they obviously only want to know about crypto.
It's the hype topics at the moment.
It is, yeah. Shares have been around for a long time, investments.
Yeah.
Unless you're going high risk, that might attract some of the younger people. But of course, with crypto, it feels a lot more free, I would say.
When you hear like crypto's going up like 15,000%.
Yeah, and
I mean
these changes happen
daily.
Yeah,
hardly any stocks do that.
Yeah,
you'll be waiting a long time to get up to that sort of.
Stocks can crash. Coins don't necessarily crash, or they do plummet. But it's usually something that's happened that affects multiple coins. Sometimes there won't just be one coin that drops, because it's not a company, So if a coin's dropping, it's most likely that it's affecting the other coins as well, There could be something causing all these coins to drop, at the same time. Then you could buy into whichever one you please, and it's most likely going to come back up. Some of them won't come back up, But they're not going to completely plummet to zero, from what I've seen. So
crypto is one of my queries that a lot of people don't like about cryptos is what value does crypto have? Like, what does it actually give you? Are you just taking Shiba Inu, for instance, Dogecoin on a whim? What actual physically do you get from buying it, like that you can intrinsically say this is what it's worth?
Well, since it's all digital, I think people are looking mainly or the serious buyers are probably looking to make some good profit, right?
Yep.
Where there are people that are buying it to use as an actual currency to buy things with, but a lot of people look at it as an investment rather than using it as a currency, even though it's a currency and that's its main purpose, you know.
Yeah.
Where it's probably a good idea to look at buying them for usage of the actual coin itself, you know. But I don't know. It just really depends on people. You know, everyone has their own different goals. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So let's go to my side here. Shares. Why I like shares is that I can pretty much read up everything I need to know about the company, and I can figure out some metrics to calculate what I think the company is presently worth. And then once you've done all the research, looking at all the different how the like how they're making their money currently, what are they looking to invest in into the future. You can find all this out on their 10K reports and stuff like that, and listen to their every 3 months they have financial talks they have that all the shareholders can listen into. Um, for me, I can sort of understand that a little bit more with cryptocurrencies. I need to figure out what's the actual thing. Well, for crypto, for me at this stage, I can see Ethereum and Bitcoin is like gold. Is the way I look at it at the moment. There is the opportunity for it to spread out to extra to buy goods and services. I think that's where they're heading. That's where they want to head. But at the moment, it's a bit of a with the inconsistency and the volatility in the price makes it hard to.
yeah. I think just to add to that, from my point of view, which is why I would say crypto is short term and shares is long term.
Yeah,
From my point of view, it's mainly because of how volatile crypto coins are. They fluctuate too often and too suddenly to have as a long term investment.
yeah,
Unless, of course, you're looking at Bitcoin or Ethereum, the more steady coins. Where in your case, the whole researching a company, I think that's a lot more of a steady approach, you know, reliability wise.
yeah,
Obviously, for a long term investment, you want to trust the company,
yeah.
you want to trust your investment's going to be looked after well. Where some people obviously don't get the choice for that.
Yeah.
Or
So for context for people out there that that's too much to think about with shares. Like I don't want to be reading all these reports and looking up all this
following the
information,
company.
financials to try and figure out. I can just buy crypto when on a quickly,
On a whim.
yeah, on a whim,
And make money
and
big.
yeah. And if you're lucky enough, you just brought the right coin at the right time, and
Yeah.
boom, and then
That's how it works.
yeah. Where stocks is definitely more a steady approach, and you can still do the same with stocks as well. You just I wear Nike shoes, yeah, I'll just buy the company, sweet ass, and it can go up, but also you could be buying it when it's on the decline, like Blockbuster, and disappear and go to zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's stuff you got to think about when you're
I think
investing.
another big consideration is trendy topics. I mean, you know, anything trending. Coins, of course. Crypto in general is trending. Where companies that are
Yep.
trending are, you know, better to invest into,
Yep.
obviously. Like you think about things like Uber and that when they were first starting out, if you made some major investments, you know.
Yep.
It's more about the idea and principle of the company, for my opinion. I don't know what you would necessarily invest on.
Yep.
But if you're looking to make some good money, sometimes a lot of people will invest into, you know, startup companies. And when they're just starting up, it's about the idea of their business. If you think the idea is good enough and well enough to become a big global, you know, phenomenon,
Yep.
then yeah, you could go and invest all your money into this, and in the long term, you're gonna make a lot of money.
Yep.
You know. Mm.
So just for some people out there, they might not know around cryptocurrencies. One of the biggest issues cryptocurrency has at the moment is that when you try to sell something, it's a struggle to get it out, especially if you got a lot of money, because they have a lot of companies have like a 50,000 limit on how much you can get out each day, and if you've got millions of dollars worth of stuff, trying to get that out, it's
There is
very
a
hard
cap,
at the moment.
yeah.
At the moment, yeah.
You can only sell
It depends
bits
on
at
it.
a time.
Yeah,
I think the best way to work with that is, well, it depends on what the transfer caps are as well. But transferring, as you know, your maximum amount of coins you can per day to another steady coin if you can't withdraw it all. you know, or doing something like that, some sort of alternative. But other than that, you're still going to be capped out, you know. And the problem with crypto in that sense too is it's so volatile that it could actually cost you a lot of money if you can't pull your money out. I think while it's on a rise and it's a good rise, you say 200% profit or something, and you're not looking to be long term, I would say you sell daily as you go. Even though once it gets to a higher price, of course you get more money if you sell at the higher price. But the problem is, if by the time you get to that high price, if you go to sell at that time and it plummets, you'll still be selling while it's still plummeting. Where it's better to sell on the incline, I'd say. I think. But it takes a lot of insight to see or at least study the patterns and think. There's a lot of prediction, you know? You never really know. It's not a company. You can't research into it, which is the only downside to crypto, I'd say.
Well, with shares, there's a lot more to think about because there's so many strategies out there on where you can go. Like dividend investing. So, for instance, say you want to get an average of like 4% a year, you have to put a lot of money in to get like anything decent at. If you're going to put $1 million and you're only going to get a small amount of money back. So where compared to say growth stock, where the stock then maybe not making money like Neo for instance at the moment, but the potential was there to skyrocket like Tesla was one that's a more recent example of one that was losing money and next minute they're making money, and then the stock goes from under 200 over to like 2,000, and then before they did a stock split. So just interesting to see how that space is going to go moving forward.
Yeah, that is true.
Ways to investing. So for me, for stocks, for people out there that are new to the game, where they're looking to maybe try and find an investing strategy to go with, what I look for is a mixture of value investing, which is finding a stock that is currently like undervalued by the sector, by the people out there. They like a stock that should be way higher up, but it has just been forgotten about with the hype stocks like the Neos and the Teslas and all those stocks that just keep going up and up, or either going up and up and up, or but there's some stocks that are just like boring stocks to a lot of people, but often but are making decent profit, but are just forgotten about. If you can find those stocks, it's a good way of saying it's probably you're a lot more safer. So here's another company for you. What about Alibaba?
Right?
The Chinese version of Amazon here.
Yeah.
They have really dropped off a cliff. They were over $300 and they've dropped down to 120 or around that at the moment.
Well, I know it was a big thing a few years ago, but I think the quality of the products and just their customer service and everything, I think there's a lot of factors that probably, contribute to it not being as well off as Amazon is or anything like that, Me personally, I wouldn't buy anything from Alibaba, but it really depends on personal preference, I guess.
Yeah, Alibaba, the main reason at the moment that stock's going down and all Chinese companies is going down is there's been talk over the last couple of years that the Chinese government are trying to delist from the US.
I've heard about that. Yeah.
Yes, that's one of the main.
Talked about banning cryptos and all sorts.
Yeah, so that's the main issue. So Alibaba's probably an interesting stock that you could think of buying because I think you could probably double your money at the current price, but you might be waiting a couple of years, and that's the thing with the short term, long term. That if you think there's something, do you think there's something in crypto right now that's just about going to pop? Yeah, so that's the interesting things you got to look at when you're looking into investing.
Yes.
I think that's about it for us here at the Barry Charles podcast.
Covered both of them, both topics.
Yeah. I'd like to thank Samuel for coming along today.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed the ride. My first podcast, so I'll be learning a lot from this, and you'll probably see in the future episodes I'll improve along the way and make.
It's alright, we'll get better.
Yeah. So from crypto and the share space, for you guys out there. Just do a lot more research and learn as much as you can before you invest into anything. And I hope you enjoy your time out there. And take care till the next video.
Yeah, catch you later.
Cheers.